Yo, what's going on, guys? We're back with another video today. Came in, did pretty well yesterday. We ended up cashing in all tournaments. And then in terms of multipliers, 50-50s, it should have been covered unless you were in a really good group. Because the pick and roll we actually, cashed out in. It's pretty small, in terms of the top, I think it's like top 22%. So unless you just had a really, really good multiplier group, you probably cashed last night. So we're hoping to continue that streak tonight. And again, I'm still working on getting my computer screen to be able to be in the background of this, so that way it's not just me, full screen of me looking at you. I apologize for that. I know it's not as entertaining, but I hope I'm giving you good enough information. If you stick around through the end of the video, I will be releasing my lineup as I have right now. And be sure to follow me on Twitter again, because last night I made a couple changes and I posted them on Twitter, and it ended up being really good changes. I changed out Marvin Bagley for Jared Allen, and obviously we know how Jared Allen did last night. He had like 46 fantasy points or something like that. I think Bagley only had like 25 or 30. So be sure to follow me on Twitter at Fantasy Talk Show. I'll be putting the link down in the description so you guys can follow me. I'll be posting injury updates throughout the day. Already we've had a couple injury / rest stuff, so I'll be going through that on Twitter. I'll be retweeting. I follow Roto Grinders, and they release stuff really quick, so I'll be able to get that out to you guys if you send me a follow over on Twitter. Now, obviously, if you have any questions, you can DM me if you'd like. I'll try to get it to as many of you as I can. And I don't think that'll be too hard, noticing that I don't have too many views so far. So if you're watching this video, you're getting a lineup that not a lot of people are getting. So hopefully you continue to follow and let some people know about it. So let's start with, I'm going to do top 5 of each position, so that way my video is not 25 minutes again like it was yesterday. I apologize for that. But let's get started. So my first point guard, Damian Lillard, going against Golden State, who's 28th against opposing point guards. Obviously, Lillard, he's on a team with Carmelo Anthony, which is a little scary because, Carmelo Anthony always wants the ball in his hand. But Dame actually had a 33% usage rate last game. So he's still very involved. He's priced down to 8.7, which is the lowest I've seen him in quite a while. Anytime he's below 9K on Fanduel, I am absolutely jumping on it. He had 31, 32, 39 in his last 3, so I think that's why he's priced down a little bit, just because of, he wasn't hitting 40 like he was before, but I mean the 3 games before that he had 40, 45, and 48. So I really like Dame tonight going against a weak Golden State team. The only thing you got to worry about, obviously, is the blowout, but I think Dame will fill up the stat sheet enough before that happens and be able to cover the price at 8,700. Next guy I have Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker, he actually is going against Dallas, who's second in the league against point guards. Obviously, there's no Luka, so that I think changes a little bit in terms of how tough the defense is on Hayward. Or not Hayward, sorry, Walker. I had Hayward in my head because I was about to say Hayward actually has been ruled out tonight, along with Marcus Smart, which obviously will bump the usage for Kemba Walker. So I really like Kemba tonight. You can also, if you wanted to pivot off of maybe a guy that's not owned as much, maybe go like a Jaylen Brown. Obviously, he doesn't have the ceiling that Kemba does, but I think he has pretty high floor tonight, considering no Smart and no Hayward. Another guy maybe you could consider is Tatum, but Tatum's more of like a consistent like 30s probably. So I actually haven't seen his price yet, so we'll go through that in power forwards. But Damian Lillard I really like, and Kemba Walker I really like in the point guard position. Third point guard is Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier, who's actually not played as well lately as he has been. He had 29, 11, and 31 in his last 3. So obviously, you are taking a risk with him, but he is 7,400 going against Cleveland, who is abysmal against guards. Cleveland's always a team I want to watch because their guards are just so bad defensively, and if you have a good point guard matchup or a good shooting guard matchup, Terry Rozier is a good option. So if you want to take the risk, his ownership should be pretty low, considering how he did have that 19 or 11 point game against Indiana, playing 25 minutes. So Terry Rozier is a guy who should be decently low in ownership, but has a really good matchup. So he's definitely someone I'd like to watch. Another one, Jeff Teague. Jeff Teague going against New Orleans, who is last in the league against opposing point guards. Jeff Teague is coming off the bench right now, but he's been playing 30 plus minutes. And obviously, if there's no Towns tonight, I see his usage rate going up quite a bit. And he's priced at 6,500, which is a little bit higher than what I'd like. But he's been averaging about 30 fantasy points per game. On his last two, he actually has 36 and 51. And then he had a 30 just before that. So I do like Teague. I do wish his price was a little bit lower, like maybe in the 5K range. But at 6.5, he's still a valuable option. So if you have extra budget at the end and you had a value pick, a point guard, you could go up to Teague for sure. And then lastly, at the point guard position, Thomas Satoransky. I'm not always huge on Satoransky just because he's so just not boom or bust, but he either has a really bad game or a really average game, and then he'll have like that one like 50 or 40 point game. But this could be it tonight. They're going against Washington. Satoransky in his last game scored 38. So obviously, he has that upside of getting up to 40 points. His price tag's only at 5,700, so you don't necessarily need a huge game like a 38 from him. But if he gets like a 25, 30, 35, that's pretty dang good for Satoransky. The only problem is he's obviously going to be rotating with Chris Dunn, Kobe White, all those guys because they're starting to get a little bit healthier again. But Satoransky does remain a really good option for me. And Chris Dunn obviously is in there too, choosing one of those guards. Chris Dunn's actually the same price as Satoransky, and I know Satoransky is still getting the start. So I would take Satoransky over Dunn, but if you wanted to pivot off Satoransky, because I think he might be a bit higher owned than Dunn, I could definitely see you going to Dunn. And I think that's it for point guards. I didn't really see too much deep value, unless you wanted to go with like a Seth Curry, just because he's getting a bump in minutes with no Luka. Last game he played 26 minutes and he had 26 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and he had 34 fantasy points. So if you wanted to take a deep dive in on a guy, Seth Curry is definitely a guy to do that. And he also had a 47-point game against Detroit. So he's definitely a value option. He's going against Boston, though, who has a very good defensive team. So, you are taking a risk in terms of him. But I think that is going to be it for the point guard position. So we'll rotate over to shooting guards. I do like Bradley Beal. He's priced up at 9,800, so it's a bit high of a price for me in terms of what I think you can get. Bradley Beal he is averaging 44 fantasy points a game, so I can see why he has that price tag. But I don't know if you guys have ever heard the phrase "you got Bealed," which basically means that Bradley Beal did not have a good shooting day. But he's done pretty well this year in terms of being able to get rebounds, assists to go along with his other stuff. Last 2 games, 54, 53. So I really like Beal tonight going against Chicago, who is, what are they against? They're 10th against opposing shooting guards. So not a great matchup, but in terms of how many injuries that Washington has right now, Beal's usage rate should be pretty high, and he should be able to cover the 9,800 price for sure. One of my favorite shooting guard plays for tonight, I apologize for my dog in the background. I don't know if you guys actually heard that. But Devontae Graham, I really like Devontae Graham tonight. Going against, again, Cleveland, really terrible defensively on guards. Last 3 games, Graham's actually been in the 35 range, so his price actually went down to 8,300. He was actually priced up, I think, at 86 or 85 last night, or maybe that was a couple nights ago. But then, he has the 50-point upside of being able to go off for 40 points. And, that he's going to play 35-plus minutes because he has turned into an absolute stud this year. And going against Cleveland, as long as it's not a blowout, which I don't see it being, this should be a really, really nice play tonight. I could see him being a top 3 point scorer tonight in terms of overall. Next in the shooting guard position, Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine, like I said, it is kind of a crowded backcourt for Chicago, but LaVine definitely is getting very high usage. His usage rate is the highest it's ever been in his career. I think probably because it's more of he's actually healthy this year, which is great. I did see it was a Game 10 decision earlier, but he has just been listed as available, so he will be playing tonight and starting for them. Going against Washington, who obviously is dealing with a ton of injuries in the front court. So they're going to have a lot of shuffling around, and they're going to be relying on their guards. Beal's going to have to put a lot of effort in the offensive end, to which I could see getting Levine a lot of looks on their offensive end. So Levine priced at 8,100. I think there are better options, but I do like Levine for sure. I think he could go off for a good amount tonight. Next on the list, Fred VanVleet's actually upgraded to a game time decision, which is interesting. Actually, no, it's unlikely to play, so scratch that. Next guy I'm going to talk about, Norman Powell. Norman Powell's actually played pretty well since VanVleet's been out. Scored 55 in his last game against Cleveland. So wink, wink, hint, hint. Play Devontae Graham. That's probably my favorite play of the night, to be honest with you. But Norman Powell's been pretty good. I mean, he's been consistently over 30, and his price is still at 5,900 on Fanduel. I think that's just because I don't know if he actually starts, but if he does, he doesn't. He comes off the bench, he plays a bunch of minutes. So last 3 games, he's been 32 plus minutes, and then a couple games before that, he was in the 20s. But since VanVleet's been out, he's been 30 plus. Actually, now that I say that, he is the starting shooting guard as of right now. So I don't know why I kind of blanked on that for a second. But Norman Powell definitely is a good value play there at 5,900 for sure. And then the last guy I'm going to go over if I can find him, and that would be Josh Richardson. So Josh Richardson priced at 4,700. This is one of those things that I'm more of like 4,700 for a player that could go off for 50. Not saying he will, but he could. The only problem with him lately, though, not only is his minutes kind of an issue, he hasn't played more than 26 minutes since returning from his injury, but he's also dealing with some wrist pain. So he actually came out and said that he felt pretty hard on his wrist when they played Boston, which was when he actually scored 30 fantasy points, which was his best outing since being back by far. So we don't know the extent of that wrist injury, but considering he's 4,700, and there's plenty of value play, or there's not a lot of value plays today at the shooting guard position, I think he's definitely a really good option. And then one guy I will also quickly mention, Jordan Clarkson, going against Charlotte tonight. He's only priced at 4,500, and he's been playing pretty good lately, scoring 30 points in 2 of his last 4. The only problem with him is if he doesn't play, high 20s in minutes, he probably won't be able to get there in terms of fantasy points, but he does have the upside of being able to score 30 if you want to try to get someone in that 4,500 range at shooting guard. Oh, and one guy went by completely. I apologize. He was actually in my lineup, so I didn't see him. Andrew Wiggins. If Karl Anthony Towns is out tonight, put Andrew Wiggins in your lineups. Andrew Wiggins will run that offense if there's no Cat. And as of right now, I don't think Cat's likely to play. He's dealing with a sprained knee, so I'd be very surprised if he did. And even if he does, I don't think he eclipses 25 minutes tonight just because of that injury. They don't want to risk re-injuring him going against New Orleans tonight. Shouldn't be necessary to play him. So I would think more likely than not that he's not going to play tonight. Small forward position. Really, the small forward position is kind of tough. I mean, Jaylen Brown, as I mentioned earlier, just because there's no Hayward tonight, I don't know why he's still listed as a small forward on FanDuel. He's a shooting guard, but whatever. Jaylen Brown, good option tonight. He's priced at 6,500, so I mean, pretty good value there in terms of how he's going to get usage. Obviously, he played 40 minutes against Philly and only scored 17 points, but that was with Hayward. That was not with Smart. Never mind. That was with Hayward in the lineup. So with no Hayward tonight, who's actually out with a sore foot, I do like Jaylen Brown going against Dallas tonight to be kind of that second or third option in the offense behind Kemba and Tatum for sure. And next, Jonathan Isaac. Jonathan Isaac is going against Denver, so that does make me kind of iffy on him. But priced at 6,300, this guy can go off for 50 in any given night. His last 4 games, I'll just go over his fantasy points: 22, 46, 17, 37. And the game before that, 37. So he's one of those guys that's kind of a boomer bust guy. He's a good tournament play. I think he should be pretty low owned just because he's going against Denver and everyone thinks Denver's defense is really good. It is, but Jonathan Isaac can still find his way to the rim. He's a really good player. Could explode for 50, could score 10. Next guy I'll go over, Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony, yes, I am going to stack Dame and Carmelo in this top fives list, just because going against Golden State's a really, really good matchup for them. Those two guys will obviously want the ball in their hands a ton. And another guy you could think about here is Kent Bazemore. But Carmelo seems to be the guy that's taken over the minutes. Bazemore's minutes have pretty much dipped into the low 20s, I think, at this point. So I really like Carmelo going tonight. Guy that really likes the ball in his hands, can score a lot, can rebound pretty well. So I do like Carmelo. Next on this list, I mentioned Kent Bazemore. OJ Anunoby. He's a guy that has been pretty good since Van Vliet's been out. Actually, not hugely good, but he's been okay. He's one of those guys priced at 4,900 that has that 50-point upside for sure. So he's a guy that you're pretty much doing another boom or bust kind of thing on. Small forward is kind of a tough position tonight in terms of actual value because guys like Siakam and Ingram are playing tonight, but Siakam's going against Detroit. Meh. He's priced at 8,700. I think there are better options. Brandon Ingram, he is an interest just because he's dropped to 8,400, which isn't too bad. Going against Minnesota, who obviously is dealing with some injuries. Cat, Layman are out, or Cat I think will be out. Layman is out. So Ingram could be the guy that that does pretty good for New Orleans tonight because I don't really see much else going well for them right now. Obviously, Jrue Holiday's there. Josh Hart is coming off the bench. JJ Redick's still a game time decision. So it's remained to be seen who's really going to take over that New Orleans offense, but I think the highest probability is probably Brandon Ingram. But yeah, that's about it for small forwards. The last value play I do have at small forward, it's going to be Admiral Schofield. So obviously, the Wizards' front court is empty. So Schofield was actually recalled from the G League on Sunday and has played the last two games for the Wizards. Played 20 minutes against Memphis, scored 23 fantasy points, and then played 19 minutes against Detroit, scored 13 fantasy points. So now there's no Rui Hachimura, which could provide a bigger role for Schofield, who's seeing, like I said, 19-20 minutes. That could get bumped up to 25-26 minutes. Maybe even, he might even play 30. He might get the start tonight for Hachimura. So that's something I want you to follow me on Twitter for, just because I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen with him tonight. But he definitely has some really good upside, and his price tag, guys, 3,600. So that opens the door for so many good plays tonight, and I'm realizing we are still going really high on the time of this video. So I'm going to try to quicken this up here a little bit. Power forwards, I like Porzingis tonight. No Luka. Offense is pretty much all on him. And he's been playing really well since Luka's been gone. Last 3 games, he's been 40+. Price at 8,900. A little bit high, but for Porzingis' usage, that's completely fine for me. Kevin Love going against Charlotte. The only concern I have here is that Zeller and Biyombo have been actually playing together for Charlotte, which is interesting. I didn't think that was going to happen, which could take Kevin Love's upside for rebounding away. But I do still like him being able to shoot threes. I think he has plenty of upside there. Priced at 7,100. Definitely like Kevin Love tonight. Going down the list, Lauri Markkanen should be a really good option. As I said, Washington, their front court is just empty, so he should have a really good matchup tonight going against Washington. Priced down at 6,300. I could see him scoring 40+ tonight for sure. Blake Griffin, if he plays, should be a monster value play. The guy's priced at 6,300 mostly because of the injury, I assume. But, I mean, we all know Blake Griffin could go off for 50, 60 fantasy points in a night. Priced at 6,300, I will absolutely take a bet on that. He is a game time decision, so it's going to be important to watch him. Follow me on Twitter for that. I'll be letting you guys know if he plays, but if he doesn't play, you could definitely find value plays in guys like Christian Wood, guys like that will come off the bench in the front court for the Pistons. And then my last power forward play, Derek Favors. He's priced at 5,500. His minutes have slowly started to increase. He started out at 15, now he's at 20, and he scored actually 30 fantasy points last night. So at 5,500, I will absolutely take 30 fantasy points from a guy who's only playing 20 minutes. So His minutes should go up pretty well, maybe up to 24, 25 tonight, hopefully. But in terms of looking at Favors' upside, I really like it. And then, yeah, that's about it for power forwards. Not a hugely deep position tonight. And now we'll go to center. So obviously Towns is in play if he plays, which I don't think he will, just because of it being a sprained knee and them going against New Orleans. Really don't think it's necessary to try to risk him. But if he doesn't play, Gorgie Dieng, definitely a good value play tonight. Hassan Whiteside, really good option tonight. He's priced at 9,400 going against Golden State. Should get a lot of rebounds, a lot of blocks. Should be a really good night for him. Joel Embiid is an option. He's going against Miami, though, so that's going to be tough going against Bam. But it's Joel Embiid, and his price is down to 9,400, so he's actually the same price as Whiteside. Obviously, the upside for Embiid's a bit higher, but I think if I had to choose one tonight, I think I'd go Whiteside just because of the matchup, but I could definitely see you playing Embiid in some lineups. Tristan Thompson is in play here, going against Charlotte, who's 29th against opposing centers. Thompson, obviously, like I said, with the rebounding, it'll be mostly on him because I think Kevin Love's playing more in the perimeter tonight, just to try to stretch out guys like Cody Zeller, who don't really like to play on the perimeter. So I could definitely see Thompson getting some offensive rebounds, putbacks. Price is 7,100. Wish his price was in the 6,000s, but take what you can get there. He's definitely an option. And then I'm going to go to some value plays here. Ian Mahinami, I can't even say his name, goddamn. So he will be starting tonight by the looks of it. He'd start against Detroit, played 24 minutes, only scored 19 fantasy points, but his price point is at 4,300, guys. So in terms of a guy who could actually get a lot of minutes tonight and go off, Miami is definitely an option. I could see him definitely scoring 25 plus, 30 plus, and with that 4,300 price tag, obviously that opens up a bit. But my favorite play, as long as Towns is out, Dieng is minimum price on Fanduel going against New Orleans, who are not great against centers. The other night, Dieng scored 17 fantasy points, and I believe that Towns actually went out in that game. I'm not exactly 100% sure, but he only played 11 minutes and scored 17 points. So he definitely has, that upside. He's priced at 3,500, which is the minimum on FanDuel. That's even cheaper than me. I might actually pivot to Dieng if I see that Towns is out. Just open up some more salary, get some higher value players in, because I think he's a really good option. So that is going to do it for the video, guys. I will give you my current lineup as of right now. I know we're up at that 20-minute range, so if you stuck around, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I will be doing constant videos. Obviously there's no more Thursday Night Football anymore, but we'll be doing NBA throughout the week, and then Saturday will be an NFL day, and then Sunday obviously will be an NFL day. So for that Sunday video, I'll probably try to get that out either early in the morning on Sunday or Saturday night. With obviously the risk of, injuries coming up and stuff like that. But first, here's my lineup. So starting with Dame and Kemba up at the point guard positions, both really good matchups tonight. High usage rate should be good. Devontae Graham and Andrew Wiggins. As I said, Andrew Wiggins for now, just because I don't think Cat's going to play, but if Cat does play, I will be switching him out, so be sure to follow me on Twitter for that. At the small forward position, Carmelo Anthony and Admiral Schofield. Both guys really good upside tonight and pretty good on price as well. Porzingis and Jeremy Grant. I like both those guys. I know I actually didn't go over Grant in the video, but Grant has a really good matchup, and Millsap might miss tonight. So Jeremy Grant's definitely a guy who you can fit in your lineup for sure. And then finishing that off with me and me. And then, as I said, I might grab Dieng if Towns is out. So be sure to follow me on Twitter at Fantasy Talk Show. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck tonight, and let's get this money.